So here I am, live from my infrared sauna. I managed to get into here 3 days a week, give or take. Now it might be because, of course, I look for that positive bias, but I did find a report, a study that was done, a systematic study that looked at the benefits of infrared sauna. Now I've seen quite a few studies that have been done on the normal wet saunas, the Finnish saunas, but not so many on infrared saunas. So I thought it was quite interesting. It pulled together 40 different studies, which it felt was of reasonable quality of evidence to use in the systematic review. Some of the more compelling findings, although still to be confirmed, were around the benefits to the heart, the cardiovascular system. And I assume that's because the amount of blood that gets pumped around because of the vessels, the blood vessels dilating. And when I look at my heart rate monitor later on, I'll see my heart rate spike quite considerably as I go through the sauna. And with that, there's a suggestion that it actually improves cardiovascular conditions and reduces the possibility of having heart disease and perhaps even shrinks the heart. One thing the study says, and I find quite useful, is it feels like it reduces pain. So when I've had a hard exercise session, I jump in the sauna and it seems to relax the body, but also potentially, although I can't split myself, it feels like it reduces pain and the ache of an exercise routine. Thirdly was mental well-being. I can see this when I'm in the sauna. It's very relaxing, minimal distractions, it's calming. It does make you feel, it's almost meditative in its conditioning, even when it gets quite hard towards the end of the sauna, when you're wanting to get out of the sauna as quickly as possible. And finally, there's mention of detox. This is just simply because of the amount you sweat. And certainly for infrared saunas, this called out possibly more than other types of saunas. You're supposed to detox through the sweating, particularly the heavy metals. So why are these benefits? Well, the first one, as I mentioned earlier, was about that increased circulation of blood. Certainly the blood vessels dilate, and therefore the blood gets pumped around the body a lot quicker. That may give some indication as to why it's good for cardiovascular conditions. Another thing about the cardiovascular condition, I suspect that that's partly down to a sauna being a exercise mimetic.
As Bruce mentioned, my name is Rhonda Patrick, and I have a PhD.
Although it's not real exercise, because of the blood flow, the increase in beats per minute when it comes to heart rate, I suspect the body thinks it's exercising, and therefore the benefits of that are similar to the benefits you get by directly exercising. Or at least some of those benefits, certainly not the muscular benefits, but some of the other benefits you get.
Because when I was told that I was going to give a talk at the Healthy Heart conference, I got really, really excited because I saw this amazing opportunity to talk about something that I am very passionate about and convinced will be part of standard of care in the next 10 years for the prevention and treatment for a variety of different cardiovascular related conditions.
There's a belief that there's some hormonal and metabolic system changes. I can see some of that to some degree, where the heat shock proteins are released as you stay in the sauna for longer. Perhaps it's not as exhaustive or as pronounced as it might be in a Finnish sauna, but certainly you can feel it, and certainly by the time you get to the end of the sauna, you're wanting to get out because of the heat. And again, one of the reasons why you get these benefits it talks to is the mood improvements that are seen, and that's one thing. But also the pain reduction. Again, that seems to be more of a symptom than a reason for it, but because of that sort of warmth, I suspect part of that is sort of reducing pain that you might have. So it talks about improvements with things like fibromyalgia and other sort of conditions that lead to pain. And the study does go on to say more research is required, and that's self-evident. When I did the research on infrared saunas, it was quite clear that it clearly hadn't been researched, the use of infrared saunas hadn't been researched as much as Finnish saunas and wet saunas. But it's promising. There's a lot of good evidence, a lot of emerging evidence to show that infrared saunas are also extraordinarily beneficial, which I'm glad. And again, like I say, it could be just a positive bias on my part, because I enjoy taking infrared saunas. The study is quite useful when it comes to thinking about the adverse effects of infrared sauna usage. It doesn't suggest throughout the studies that there have been any particular concerns when it comes to usage of infrared saunas. You can tell it's getting hot, harder to think. Essentially, it's a safe protocol, or as safe as it can be, but clearly if you do have a history of heart condition or cardiovascular concerns, then you should watch out and be cautious before you jump straight into a boiling hot sauna and seek some medical advice. So how do I use the infrared sauna? Well, I tend to use them after exercise, whether it's after rucking or after a weight resistance exercise. I tend to use a sauna. One, because the suggestion is that it releases growth hormone in the sauna, so therefore that might increase the potential for the benefits of the exercise that you've been doing. But secondarily, it's just that relaxation afterwards, and I find, certainly, again, I can't split test myself, I find that taking a sauna after hard exercise relaxes the muscles, and it feels, to me at least, my recovery is quicker than it would be normally. As I say, my protocol is 3 times a week, mostly after exercise. I tend to let the sauna preheat for around 30 minutes so it gets to a good temperature. Now it's running at 154 at the moment, 154 Fahrenheit, and that's what it tends to get to when I leave it to preheat, and then I can come in straight away and enjoy the benefits. Sometimes when I do have more time, I start it from 0 and sit in while it's warming up. The difference between the two, of course, is time. It's quicker to let it preheat, then come in and then do sort of 25 to 30 minutes. If you don't do that, then it can take all of an hour. But I do find that slow progressive heat for an hour does actually get more, increase the core more, and actually gets harder towards the end of the hour. I don't think the infrared sauna is for everyone. When I talk to Ingrid, my partner, it's not for her. She doesn't enjoy the feeling of getting sweaty. I must admit, I do feel more relaxed after the infrared sauna, so it's not necessarily the feeling of getting sweaty, it's more that you feel more relaxed. You then cool down, have a warm or cold shower. For me, it's a cold shower just to bring and regulate my temperature back to normal, but it's not for everyone. I recognise that. So starting to feel it now with 6 minutes left to go. This is the period that I think makes a real difference, the bit where you want to go out, you want to step out, and you stay in for those extra minutes. I think this is where the heat shock proteins and your hormesis takes place, because your body's having to adapt to something that it doesn't want to. I think it also instills in you the determination, the will to do something that actually feels uncomfortable. So that's the sauna over. Unfortunately, my camera died. It got too hot, but I found it again very relaxing. I did 30 minutes, and now time to cool down, then perhaps have a cold shower. Cheers. So do you have a infrared sauna, or a traditional wet sauna, or even a sauna blanket? I'd love to hear your experience with it. Whether you find it useful, whether it's giving you any of the benefits I've talked about, whether it's improved heart rate or cardiovascular conditioning, whether it reduces any pain, whether it gives you a better well-being, mental well-being, all these things that it's suggested in this study. Love to hear your comments below, and please like and subscribe.